really what we're about is in our name. We're global. We currently have 9 resource offices working together in nearly 40 countries worldwide. We're really about aid, about helping people in places of poverty and crisis. So whether that's disaster response, ongoing poverty, or bringing clean water, that's what we're doing. And network is really about how we do it. And that means that we're involving people in a hands-on response, both in the UK, and when we're working overseas, we're always doing that in partnership with locals in that country. So we often talk about how we want to reveal hope and restore life. I think it's more than a tagline, in that we recognise that when people are in those desperate situations of poverty and crisis, that they need something more than just the practical needs being met. Do you want to come and say hi? She's having fun. But also they need to know that other people haven't forgotten them, that they are worth something, and that can bring them hope. So even in those times when we send the much needed relief, the fact that they know it's come from somebody in another place who's thinking about them really inspires hope and helps them in some of the toughest times. So yeah, that is what we want to see happen: restore hope and reveal hope and restore life. So we are a humanitarian Christian organisation, and we work in partnership with Agape UK. So for us, when we look at the life of Jesus, we're motivated to follow the example of when we see how Jesus reached out to people on the margins and the most vulnerable. And we also love to be involving and working with people from different backgrounds, with faith or no faith. So whatever your background this evening, you're incredibly welcome. And we hope that we all are encouraged and inspired by the stories that we hear tonight as we grapple with the brokenness that we see in the world around us. This evening, we're going to hear stories from this last year, some of the tough points, it's fair to say, as well as the celebrations. We're going to hear interviews from people involved in the UK, and specifically, we're going to hear from those in Ukraine. At the end, there's going to be an opportunity for general questions, as well as specifically after the Ukraine interview, there will be a chance to do that as well. But if you have questions as we're going along, feel free to just drop them in the chat and we'll capture them at the end. So without any further ado, I am going to pass over to Emma, who is coming to join us here from Belfast. She is going to give us a run through, highlights, maybe lowlights of the year that we've just been through. So over to you, Emma.
Thanks, Sarah. Yes, I'm just going to give us a brief summary of what happened in 2022 with GAIN. So at the start of the year, last January, we were just really struggling to get anything done. I remember Ellie sharing with us in January how the weather was just so bad at the storage containers that you couldn't pack the massive number of bags that were there. In February, Caitlin, Fricky and I went to visit a new partner in Serbia, and we got to see his work amongst people in poverty and refugees who are travelling through the country. And we've since been able to formalise a partnership with him, and we've been able to develop our relationship throughout this year. Then at the end of February, when Russia invaded the Ukraine, and as the war broke out, GAIN Worldwide went into disaster response mode. For most of our team in the UK, this was our first major disaster that we've been a part of. And we just saw an incredible response as people here wanted to do whatever they could to help. In the UK, over £100,000 was given, and we collected hygiene kits, and we sent pallets of food and sleeping bags for refugees fleeing the war. And we'll hear a lot more about that later. Lots of businesses wanted to contribute what they could. And at the end of March, a local Birmingham business donated some temporary warehouse space for us, which we call the Nightingale, which has just been amazing and has enabled around 150 volunteers, including businesses and churches, to come and to help us prepare boxes of aid to send out and to clear that massive backlog from our containers. In April, we were so pleased to send our first overseas team since COVID. So a group of students went to Romania, and Caitlin was part of that team, and she'll share her experience with us later. Then as we continued with our Ukraine response throughout the year, in September, Nathan joined us as an apprentice, and he's working part-time in our warehouse while he continues his studies, which has been great to have him on board with us. And in October, a really exciting development was that a major sports brand made Gain their official NGO partner. And so we receive all of their unused and returned stock. So that means that we have lots of brand new clothes, sportswear and shoes that we can now send to people in need across the UK and the world. And this has meant that we are very short on space again. And so this autumn, we launched our fundraiser for our own involvement centre of 5,000 square feet. So far we're a fifth of the way towards our goal, and we already have enough to rent a smaller space, which we're in the process of finalising the lease for. So that means that in the coming weeks, we should be able to move into our new building and welcome more volunteers in the new year. Our logistics team and our volunteers have just done such an amazing job this year, going way above and beyond what we've ever done before. And we've been able to send 7 shipments overseas to Ukraine, Greece and Romania. And that will be 8 tomorrow when at 7:30 a.m. they're up to load a truck for Serbia. And so we're rounding off 2022 with 1,000 boxes going to help people in need in Serbia this winter. So that's been our year. It's been very busy. But it's been full of lots of great developments. And I'm going to pass to Heidi now, who is our country coordinator for Ukraine, and we'll hear a bit more in depth about our Ukraine response.
Yeah, hello. I'd like to welcome Niels and Sasha. Niels is on staff with GAIN Germany, and since the start of the Ukraine crisis, GAIN Germany and GAIN Netherlands are the lead agents for GAIN worldwide, meaning that all donations, financial and in kind, from our different offices go to them, and they distribute them to our partners in Poland, Romania, Moldova, Hungary, and in Ukraine. Since February, GAIN has sent more than 200 transport shipments to help in the crisis in Ukraine. This is a new record, even for GAIN, to send that much in the last 10 months. Niels and his team have been working hard to make sure the donations get to those people in need. And Sasha is a pastor of a Pentecostal church in, I don't know if this is the correct way to say it, Vyshgrud, Ukraine, which is in the north of Kiev. If you've seen our updates on our website, Sasha is featured on some of our videos. And so far, GAIN has sent 56 aid transports to our partner, Sasha. And his church is part of a network of churches in 24 provinces in Ukraine. As soon as they receive something from GAIN, they arrange their church people in the different provinces to come and pick up the donations and distribute them in their areas. So welcome, Niels and Sasha. Now, before I begin asking questions at the end of this interview, there will be a time for question and answer, so you can ask your questions. Alternatively, you can write down your questions in the chat and direct them to either Niels or Sasha. We will try to answer all the questions you have. And Niels and Sasha will leave after this interview as it's late for them. I think in Germany, it's 9 o'clock, and in Ukraine, it's 10 o'clock. So it's very late. So do ask your questions after this interview. All right. So first of all, to Niels, how did you get involved in Ukraine?
Hello, everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for having us. Frikkie, especially you as the field leader of GAIN UK, and the rest, of course, of this wonderful team. Thank you very much. I am full staff member of GAIN Germany since 2020. because my wife and I, we really love the Ukraine, and we became the project leaders and then eventually also the lead agents for the Ukraine project. What started to happen on the 24th of February is actually we became crisis managers. So this whole thing hit us ice cold. Nobody was expecting that, and everyone who says that he or she was expecting that, still it hit us like a cannonball. So actually, since the 24th of February, and through the work of the team, GAIN friends, partners, and of course of our great partners in Ukraine, we were able to deliver humanitarian aid just 2 weeks after the beginning of the war into Ukraine, and we have not stopped yet doing that. So being a project leader and being a lead agent, yeah, is a crisis manager, but it's also a big honor to work with great, reliable partners from our network and on the site in Ukraine.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Niels. Some of you may know that Niels is married to Anna, who is Ukrainian, actually. So it's very, very convenient when they go to Ukraine. He has a translator already, so it's really good. And welcome, Sasha. Sasha, my question to you is, how did you become a GAIN partner?
Hello, everyone. Great to see some people that now I could put with all those great things that you guys have done for us in the last month. It's so precious. Thank you very much. Answering your question, somebody said, that's not who you know, that's who knows you. You know, I have a friend, actually, his name is Norbert. He's apparently head of he's a head of the Polish GAIN. And we've been in connection for probably good 15, 20 years. He's been to my church. We've been kind of communicating back and forth for many years. And when the whole thing began, you know, he actually gave me a call pretty, you know, probably after maybe a little over a week. And then from there, you know, it went over to the rest of the GAIN great people. That's how it happened.
Yeah, good connection then. Yeah, and that opened the door to just being able to send a lot of, you know, aid to Ukraine.
Indeed.
Now, sadly, the war in Ukraine has entered its 10th month. How different is it now from when it first started in terms of aid and needs? Niels?
Yes, I'm going to cover the German side a little bit, and Sasha will share on Ukraine, of course, which makes sense. Well, in the beginning, as I said, it hit us like a cannonball. So in the beginning, everything was very messy, and probably Sasha will say some of the things as we experienced them, but still it's, well, it has some different issues, of course. But in the beginning, it was very messy. We and our partners, our whole team, not only in Germany, but worldwide, was trying to function. And it took really some time, some weeks, even months, to really be organized. So in Germany, also from the people that were trying to help, pretty much they were throwing everything at us, which I mean very positive. So all the resources people had financially, time-wise, knowledge-wise, and also goods-wise, people were bringing and saying, how can I help? What can I do? Can you use this or that? And we were amazed. I think we received every 30 seconds a phone call of people asking how they can get involved. And of course, this has changed a little bit since, you know, there's so many crises around the world and people are getting a little bit bored of this one crisis. Still, I would say that we see that our network is covering most of the needs that we have in that time, which is food, which is warm clothing, which is now more generators, and I will share about this a little bit more later. And of course, wherever we have the feeling of, okay, this is not what we can cover from the German side, we really see miracles happening through the network that we are working with, suddenly someone from the Netherlands is calling, or from the UK, and says, we have this and that, and this is just exactly what we need. So miraculously, we are being covered with these things.
That is amazing. Yeah, people just want to help, I think, when they see other people in need. How about Sasha? Can you share?
Of course, I woke up 5 in the morning on the 24th from 2 missiles actually exploding out of my window. There at the riverfront, there was lights, and this big mushroom actually was in our sight. For 10 minutes, your legs are shaking. You're trying to keep your voice straight, and that kind of stuff. You're trying to kind of get your cases and send away your women and kids, and grandkids away, and then life began actually. So everything was very chaotic, like Neil said. It was chaotic. Who would help and where we would go? Because war, I tell you, war is an absolutely horrible, unpredictable thing. These days, I said, I really don't make no judgments who reacts how. It's like the 8th time they now hit the massive, shooting actually of the Ukraine happened now last Monday. And it's like another 5 families took off and went. They said, we've had enough. So when 3 went to Germany, somebody else went to the West Ukraine. It's like everything chaotic. When it's at the very beginning, everything is extremely chaotic. You cannot rely on people who would be with that helping. And also in the beginning, when the occupation lifted from our area, because I live in the northern area of Kiev city. So that's where Bucha, Irpin, that's near us. Actually, that's where the whole thing happened. In the beginning, when we came to those, after 5 weeks of occupation, when we came to those towns, we just out of the trunk, out of the back of the car, we gave people the food. I mean, people were cooking outside because it was still winter, cold, bonfires and stuff. It was chaotic, no system where to go and who would go. Of course, over the time, especially places that have been deoccupied, we've built systems. Who is working, different people doing different things, transportation, places to go. We are now trying to work with other organizations, maybe who are helping, that we are not sending the same thing. So I mean, it's the same thing to the aid to the same places, So now it's a lot more organized compared to what it was, and more systematic, and we are a lot more efficient now than it was first 2 months.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, the war is really, if it hits you, then you don't know what to do. And then later on, you can pick up and try and organize yourself. So yeah, really good. Could you share some stories from Ukrainians about their experiences and challenges? Well, you yourself, Sasha, is Ukrainian, but stories that you've heard from other Ukrainians.
Stories that I heard from other Ukrainians is like this. On the 4th day of the war, 2 of our daughter churches that are up north, that's where the enemy came from. One church, and one of our pastors, he's actually my secretary in the region now. His name is Zhenya Areshkin. He couldn't get out in time with a baby of 7 months for, I think, 17 days. He was sitting not in the basement, that's like a cellar for potatoes, Every night he would climb to the top of the actual, roof of the house just to text us that he's alive and well. That's one just story with his young wife. Actually, we recorded his testimony now on 20 minutes. It's in Ukrainian. If anybody understands Ukrainian, you could listen to that online, actually. So that's one story. Another story, right now, actually, on the other side of the river where we live, there's been built a hotel that always stood empty. So within the last months, there's 86 families who just came to that not quite finished hotel. And we got actually in contact with them. So we are trying actually to serve this people. There's a lady whose husband was killed. She's got 5 kids. The church adopted her, and we are actually bringing her to the church. We are going to see her. That's another story. I could give you another story. That's probably a harsh one, you know. The first meeting we have last 6 weeks, actually, what we began doing a 45-60 minute meeting. Almost 500 refugees have been registered with our church, and at least once a month we do an organized meeting where for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, we actually love on them. We sing a couple of songs, we pray with them, we pray for them, we give them a psychologist to talk to, we kind of we give them some kind of advice. And the very first meeting, this lady I came to after the meeting, I said, "What's your name, ma'am?" She said, "My name is Galina." I said, "Could you tell me your story?" She said, "Do you want to hear?" It's like I thought, you know, and she said, "I'll tell you my story." She said, "I was leaving from Avdiivka, Bakhmut, those are hottest places right now." And she said, "I was leaving with my son and with my actually daughter-in-law and with two dead grandchildren, 5 and 15, in the back. We had to bury them in the West Ukraine." So I tell you, I mean, that is reality of life. From simple stories like, you know, I mean, there are no simple stories in the war, I guess, to the harshest ones that we are facing every day. I could go on. I could keep you for a good hour telling you another dozens of stories, I guess. But, you know, there's so many, they're so different. One quick one, last one, you know, and after this one meeting, last one, actually, we had last Saturday, we had a meeting. This lady, I came to I shook her hand. She said, "Where are you from?" She said, "I'm from Kharkiv." I said, "And you're still here?" Kharkiv is kind of occupied a while ago. She said, "Yes, it is occupied, but I am from the northern Saltovka, which is the northern area from Russia side of the city." And she said, "I got no flat to go to. I'm homeless, really." So she said, "I don't know what to do, basically, and I'm trying to kind of make my way here." Anyway, there are different stories, all kinds of stories that war brings. There we go.
Yeah, it is heartbreaking to hear about different stories, and I'm sure there's lots more, but I think what I'm encouraged by is the resolution, the you know, resolve of the Ukrainians to keep on fighting for their land, and that's very encouraging, I think. How about Niels? Do you have any stories that you want to share that you've heard from Ukrainians?
Sure. I mean, we've been 6 times in Ukraine that year, my wife and I, and we have been collecting so many stories from the people that we've met. Sometimes just, you know, at the border, chatting with people, sometimes in the refugee camp, sometimes in the basement, sitting with people there and just understanding more of their life. And I think what really helped me is when you ask people not how are you doing, but just would you like to share your story with me? And so many people say, you know, I had a really good life, I had a great life, I had my business, I had my house, this and that, and now I have nothing. I have lost everything. And it's interesting how different people are handling this. You know, some of them are grieving, are drowning in anger and hatred, and some, you know, are just, you know, keeping up and saying, no, we have to continue, and we have to go on. I think one of the most touching stories last time was when handing over one of these food parcels, and the person said to me, is this a Christmas gift to me, or is that a birthday gift to me? And people value these things, opening this food parcel and seeing, wow, somebody must have taken care for packing these things together, for setting it up, and this person felt so valued and so loved in that moment that she just started crying, and we were looking at each other, crying together, and she said, you know, pass my greetings to that person that packed this thing. She didn't know that actually, you know, this is a mass production somehow right now. But it's so good that people have the feeling of where there was someone taking care for putting together this food parcel, valuing me, seeing me, and this person feels loved and seen.
Yeah. That is really good to hear, because I mean, you can hear later when we share about some of the volunteers who are packing, they have that in mind. They say, this is going to go to somebody who needs it. And that's really good to hear that they appreciate it. Yeah. Can you share what are some of the game plans for this winter? I mean, winter has already come, I think. I was thinking, how cold is it in Kiev right now, Sasha? Is it -12 or something like that?
Last week it was -7, 8, and 9. Then 3 days ago it was +4. Now again -2. And my friend told me that in 2 weeks it go from the east, and it's going to hit us with one end. Here in Kiev is going to be almost -30. I wish he's lying.
No.
I hope he's lying, you know, my friend. That is going to be -30 degrees Celsius, I think, in about 2 weeks. I'll double check that.
That's really cold, I think. So what are some of the game plans, Niels, for this winter to help those who are suffering from lack of heat?
So I remember when we were in Ukraine in August and we were sweating, we were talking about how is it going to be in winter? And we already made the plan in August of, you know, how to set up things in the winter. How can we support our partners and continue supporting them with the things that will be needed? And for now, I can say that this has happened. We are continuing to support the partners with the items that are needed. That is food items, warm clothing, sleeping bags, generators, and even firewood. And I'm so proud of the team, the international team, but the German team, of, you know, trying to get to the people, getting to the businessmen, getting to the shop owners and asking them for this and that, what is needed. And people are replying in a positive way still. That is very wonderful. There was the plan, especially in Rivne, but also in Vyshgorod, where our partners are located, to set up tents on different locations in the city. So people, if there's no heating in their apartments, can come to these tents, don't have to freeze at home, get a warm meal or a warm tea, do not have to be alone, get someone to talk to. And we are supporting and have already supported our partners in that, to setting up these locations. And in Rivne, they are already working, and in Vyshgorod as well. So the tent was set up just last Saturday. And furthermore, we are following up with trauma care trainings, which is going to happen most probably in the beginning of spring. We had our training, our first training in September, and have trained the people of this network that Sasha belongs to, that they might get in contact with IDPs and refugees, you know, coming to the tents and ask them, what is your story? How can I help you? How to overcome traumatic experiences, and invite them to also to pray for them, being there for them, and let them know that they are not alone in this.
That's really good. I think this, you'll find that there's a lot of people who need that, you know, trauma care. Anything from Sasha?
I think Niels pretty much, you know, said it all. One thing today, I was speaking to our bishop from Rovno, you know, our partner, and he basically said that they already sent, I think, 4 full trucks of firewood to Kherson. Kherson is a deoccupied place 4 weeks ago, but it's only because like 4 or 5 kilometers from across the river from where the enemy is, and they're all the time bombarding them. And this last Saturday, actually, our head guy there, he said it was so bad. I called him 9:30 in the morning. It was so bad, shooting all night artillery, that again, there is no lights, there is no heat, there is no nothing. He said, give me firewood. Firewood is, or maybe even more important than the actual food, you know, the actual firewood, because there is nothing else. So yeah, firewood is a big one right now.
Yeah.
In the occupied places, when there is no gas, there is no heat, there's no electricity, fire is the answer. Firewood is the answer.
Yeah. I think, sitting in the dark and feeling cold is not the best thing, I think. I was going to ask, what are some of the needs that if somebody want to send something, we are asking people to give. So what are some of the needs that we can give, we can send?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Food, like I said, when the war breaks in, everything shuts for a while, and it takes, we live close to Kiev. We live like 10 miles outside of Kiev. Even us, it took, at least maybe 3-4 weeks, businesses to kind of come back. When we're talking about those east and south, areas where now the real hot phase of war is happening, it will take. I mean, cities are destroyed; they are flattened. The fire, scorched earth. It's actually the methods of doing that. So, food is the number one. Very simple. Number two is clothing, of course, warm clothing. Number three is keeping them warm, whether it's a generator, whether it's actually what we started doing that you probably in the West don't even know what that is. It's like in the Second World War, it's called burjuika. It's actually what you do. You buy a 4 millimeter, sheet of metal, and you weld it. And all you need, you could burn anything, any kind of garbage. You put the chimney kind of out of that. And we actually put a lot of people, we already made 10 of them. And you go to the high rise, where it has 9 stories. And at the staircase, in the, you give one to the whole, 9 stories thing. And you go all those, and you give each one of them. So all of them that come from the 9th story to the 1st or 5th story to the bottom, and they at least have this place where they could, get warm, or they could just cook something. So, that's also something. But we actually welded and making that ourselves. Generator is really a posh thing, So we're trying to get even an easy way out. So even Kherson, first 3 weeks there was no fuel. My brother, he had to leave Kherson to go to Mykolaiv, 90 kilometers, just to get the fuel to run the generator. I think things are getting a little bit better. So all basic things: food, warm clothing, and keeping warm. Those are the basic stuff.
Generator. And also I've heard power banks are needed.
Oh yes, power banking. Yes.
Yeah.
All kinds of power banks. Yes. Okay. Lights also. Well, please, I tell you something. Maybe I think I have somewhere in the house one. I've seen the Samaritan Purse, what they've done. They actually got this light. It's a small one, that like you kind of undo that and you kind of thing. And I mean, gives the light. Having the light is a big thing. So all kinds of power banks and the lights that are on the battery is a big, big, big thing too.
Neil, so you know what you were talking about? Do you know what it's called?
Yeah, well, it's like in old times when you have like I don't know, when you have the bike and the wheel, is going and you have it in your hands. I don't know what this word in English, but from this kind unto these posh things, as Sasha said, like generators or power banks. But it can be simple lights. Even reflectors is a big thing. When there's dark outside and nobody can see you, people are getting hit by cars because they are invisible to the people. So just having a reflector, as school
big
kids
one.
usually,
Yeah,
it's a big thing. Suddenly it became a big thing. But the list is getting longer. I think the first 3 that you mentioned, Sasha, they are just like the key things.
Okay, good. All right, so we'll open this this time for questions. Somebody have any questions, please? The floor is open. Unmute yourself and ask the question.
Sasha, maybe I can just ask, you told us that GAIN also supplied you with trauma training.
Yeah.
I can speak to people. Can you maybe just tell us, before and after you got this training, what happened?
When somebody tells you, like that lady Galina, that I had to leave the town to bury my 2 grandkids in the Western Ukraine, I didn't know what to tell her. I've been 30 years in the ministry. I thought I've seen it all, or most of it, but I mean, like that, I really was kind of, just, wow. So the good thing that, with the help of GAIN, Germany, friends there, we actually done a teaching of 12 hours. What we did, actually, we invited the key people from the whole, almost. It was more difficult from the south and the east where the war is going. But I think we had 19 or 20 regions, counties, out of 24. And we brought 2 or 3 or 4 people, actually. That was strategic, actually, move for us to do that. And the first conference was like 420 people, So now we have a Telegram group where we are adding actually people from other regions strategically, We recorded that actually teaching, the first teaching of 12 hours. We even did a certificate, for anybody who's finished that, because we're going to do module 2 and module 3, or part 2 and part 3. And of course, now, when I meet somebody like this, there are basic things that you learn, Now I definitely know what you tell a lady like that. You simply say, I can't even imagine what you went through. And then, is there a way I could help you? Is there a way I could serve you? That's all 2 simple things you say to somebody. Like, it seems to be a simple thing, but I didn't know what to tell her. And there are a lot of other things, practical things that, we actually have learned, and we're actually building on that. Like I said, next one is going to be maybe beginning of April, module 2, and we'll be building a system. Anybody who will come to module 2 will have to listen to module 1, make the tests, and then come to module 2. And then the same thing is going to be done with module 3. Anyway, very practical, very good, building on it, and helping us to help other people.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sasha. I was thinking that, all these challenges that you have, it's really trying. It's very, very difficult, but our thoughts and prayers are with you and your countrymen during this very difficult time. And so we thank you for sharing your experiences, sharing the needs, and we'll keep that in mind. And thank you too, Niels, for sharing the things that you've done, basically, the past 2 years.
It was a
and
pleasure.
the help that you've extended to the Ukrainians. So thank you, gentlemen, for giving your time, because I know
Thank
it's
you.
late right now. And
Thank
thank you for taking time to come. Good. So this ends our interview, and I'll hand over to Ellie. Thank you, Sasha and Niels.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's so encouraging to I think talk to people who we're giving to really see how the network works, and what's so amazing is that, and what we always want to be doing is tailoring how we help to the needs that are happening and the way that the needs change so quickly. And so it's really great to hear how that's happened over the last 10 months in Ukraine, and how that continues to happen. And what we're so thankful for in our network is the way that people here in the UK have been involved and have been on that journey with us, whether it's been giving financially or collecting items. It's been incredible to see kind of the growth of our network this year, even through businesses, like Emma mentioned at the beginning, through the business who've given us physical space, through the businesses who are giving us items, and through the people who are collecting items in their home. So if you are feeling remotivated after hearing those stories to be involved, it can sometimes feel quite overwhelming, can't it, when we hear of crisis, to think, well, what can I do? But actually hearing that list of practical things from Sasha of this is what people need, we are collecting those things. At the moment, we're continuing our winter appeal. We set out a target to send 3 trucks of winter items to 3 different overseas partners this winter. We've sent 2 already, and we're hoping to send 1 to Ukraine in January. So there is still time to collect items for that. And if you want to send any of the things that Sasha just mentioned, we are live. We're updating the list live. So if you've got lights, or if you just think I can give money towards those things, I'm going to put the link for our fundraising appeal for Ukraine in the chat, because sometimes we can't collect the items, but we can give the money for those to be bought in Germany or more locally. So you can be involved that way as well. Or you might want to run a collection amongst your local network for maybe just one of those specific items, or just for warm clothes and blankets in general. There are so many ways you can be involved. And another is by coming to help us sort and pack the donations. So yeah, we have a warehouse space in Birmingham now, where it's been incredible over this year to see how that's meant that we can have huge groups of people coming to help. And we're going to watch an interview now between myself and Anzi, who has been regularly with her church to pack, and she's going to share about why they do that and how that's looked for them.
Hello, would you like to just share who you are?
Yes, I am Anzi, and I'm part of the Chinese church. I'm one of the youth pastors there, and it's been so nice to partner up with GAIN.
Yes, we've loved having you. Can you tell us, how did you first get involved with GAIN?
So I think we just heard through the grapevine. Like, I think we've always had some connection with you guys, but I think it wasn't until our friend Qui was working with Agape, and then she got in touch, and then I think before you know it, we got on like a house on fire.
Totally. And we were saying, I think the first packing session was right when just after the Ukraine war started, wasn't it? Yeah. And it was Qui, someone who came to your church, who said, as a church, we'd like to respond. Can we help?
Absolutely.
And I remember we came to your church and did a packing session, and I think 50 people came, at least.
It was crazy.
But the amazing thing is people have kept coming back this year.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's because they felt a sense of, actually, this is a really good community effort, and being part of, together with other brothers and sisters, because actually we've got quite a big congregation, actually multiple congregations, 7 congregations in total. So there's a lot of people that don't know each other.
Yes.
And so they come together and they make new friends, actually. So it's been really nice just to work together, because actually what I find in our culture is we are very acts of service driven.
Okay.
And we are very hands-on, and we like to be doing things and like to feel needed. But at the same time, it's also being part of the bigger picture of like a big God's work. So it's really encouraging when, they really love it and they keep coming back, and I'll send them a message and they'll be like, yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah.
And so whenever you give me like a date, I'm like, okay, we'll try and round up some troops and we'll come over.
Yeah, that's what's been amazing. I think I was trying to remember, I think you've been 7 or 8 times.
Oh, really? Have we?
But every time there's people who've come before, which is encouraging to say. And there's always new people as well. And it's amazing to see the people who've been a few times, they just come upstairs and get on
and
with
they just know what to do.
They know what to do. And they teach the other people what to do. So about like checking for the good quality of clothes and how to not overstuff the boxes and all those things that I hate having to go over and over again. People are just like, no, you don't do that, you do it like this. And that's so amazing. Like, you do feel so much part of the team. Being here with, like, you're just in it with us. And as I said, you've been our core packers over this year. Some of these boxes, some of the ones you've done, but you must have done near 1,000 boxes as a church.
Really?
Well, you've been that many times.
So
you're like a powerhouse.
Not you personally.
Do you remember that one box of pillowcases that you did that was particularly impressively packed? Yeah, totally. So are there any people, of those people who've like come a lot, have they shared with you sort of why they keep coming, how it encourages them?
It's just really nice for them to feel like, actually, there's a lot of new people in our church, actually. Some people I've never even met before until recently through packing. So they've come over as political refugees from China. And so they've relocated here. They're called British National Overseas. And so they have a lot of spare time on their hands, and they're looking for things to do. They're looking for, a sense of purpose here. And so I think GAIN has come at a good time where they can volunteer and be part of it and meet other people and other Christians, and just to feel like, actually, even though I'm here in this new country, I want to help those that are overseas and are struggling to make ends meet. And yes, they are more fortunate, because once they've left Hong Kong, they've had to relocate and start afresh. But at the same time, they're a lot more richer than the other refugees. And so I think it's really nice for them to still offer and give back some of their time and efforts to help the grand scheme of things.
That's totally like our dream for our involvement centre, is a space not only where people can come and be part of it, unpacking, no matter what their background. As you say, some people are wanting to give back because they've experienced like
displacement,
a welcome and displacement. But also we want to have a place where people can come and receive aid for themselves. And we'd love to have, you know, refugees in the city coming to get stuff and then packing a box for some other people as well. Like, we would just love to have that kind of safe space environment for people to feel welcome. It's just a cool part of the team. For you personally, why do you enjoy coming?
Oh, it's just a sense of, this is the church. We are a body of Christ. We're all hands and feet in this situation. We're all muscles. And it just, I think my favorite memory was that human chain that we made. From up here, we had how many boxes?
We love a human chain. I don't even know.
Passing boxes. And it wasn't the case of like going back and forth, but it was just, we were just standing there and just like packing and like moving boxes and, oh, this one's heavy, be careful, watch your back. And it just felt really nice to know that actually, in the grand scheme of things, we are part of the chain and we're all connected by Christ, and you know, from A to B, getting these boxes over, and to know that actually it starts here and then it goes all the way to someone who will benefit from having that item of clothing or shoes or whatever. So it's like an answer to prayer for them, and it's just nice to know that we're part of that beautiful tapestry.
That's this is a hands-on way that you can be part of that, making a difference for somebody's life. Right? So well, we're so thankful for you.
I'm thankful that we're partnering with you guys. So
absolutely. Well, thank you so much.
I look forward to the more stories and the more exciting times where we do get to pack and be part of it together.
Maybe in a warmer building soon.
We can keep it
no puddles.
With no puddles. No, but it's still wonderful to be part of it. Thank you. Thanks.
And I'm gonna just briefly talk about the privilege that I had to be on our first student team back in Romania this year after COVID. And actually, just as in the video there, Ansi was talking about this kind of A to B human train. One of the joys of being with our long-term partner, Frank, in Romania was seeing the empty boxes at the other end, and knowing that it was like 500 boxes, that all of that aid had gone to people in need. And just seeing the joy on the other side of that was really an amazing experience as well. So the team that I got to be part of was a 10-day student project, and we went to serve with our long-term partner, Rise to Shine, in Cluj in Romania. And actually, if you've been to some of our online events before, you may have heard Frank speak and kind of share more about the situation there. And that interview is online on our YouTube channel if you haven't seen that and you want to find out more. Over the 10 days, our time was kind of split between manual labour in the mornings, which was working on the foundations for a campground and a safe space for the young people within the Roma community, and afternoons hosting kids clubs and youth clubs in Frank's space within the kind of Roma community camps that they've set up outside the city. And from day one of us being there, we could really see the benefit of having a team. Where the campground was, Frank had that land for a while, but COVID and a lack of teams and a few other things had meant that he was really unable to make a lot of progress on the building, since small scale local labour is quite hard to get. And so over the course of our time there, we managed to take this shell kind of 2 shipping containers and a roof. That was already after we'd done a fair bit of work. All of that metal was inside, and we kind of took it from this to this, and we it was a lot of unseen work. We built foundations and floor and things that I didn't realize needed a lot of work, but it does, and hopefully the structure will stand. And thankfully, since then, other teams have been, and the space now looks like this,
which there are doors and ceilings, and thankfully in one of our most recent shipments we were able to send beds and mattresses, which has meant that the young people will have a safe space to come out of the community and spend time with Frank and Rita and their family as they understand what life could look like outside of what they've grown up in. And having this space outside of the community is actually really important. For Frank and Rita, they found that as they spend time with the young people and how they experience how Frank and Rita care for them, which is often a care that they don't receive at home, that they start to really understand more self-value and confidence, and they start to see a future outside of just what is the norm. And Frank said that often as they interact with the teams that come, the young people become more socially engaged, they like to study more, especially in English, and they just, see a future for themselves, really. And thanks to this long-term presence with Frank in the community, they've just seen, just kind of this bigger mindset, and they have seen just real growth in the community, especially in a decline of teen pregnancy, which is very common within the community. And even those who do fall pregnant or who are part of Frank and Rita's youth group have still been involved, and they haven't cut ties like they would have seen 5 or 10 years ago. And when we were there in April, we got to meet Lena, who was a teen who's pregnant, but was still coming along to the youth group, and her relationship with Rita especially, and Frank, just really gave them an opportunity to share, just care for her. And it meant that Frank had the opportunity to build a small home attached to Lena's family home, which is kind of, their homes are mainly just kind of one open room. And so building Lena and her partner a separate room to be able to bring up their child, and just have a bit of a safe space that is still kind of cleaved to the family unit, was really special in being able to show love and care for her as she continues to become a mum and go through that. And so being there had a really profound effect on me and the whole team. It was a privilege to be able to be the first team that Frank had received since COVID. There was a lot of joy shared, but also to be part of a team that we're all in from the off, and we weren't afraid to kind of look ridiculous for the sake of kind of making the kids laugh. And we weren't afraid to get dirty for the sake of building the foundations of the campground. And so ultimately it just meant that, we were all in, knowing that we could serve these kids and young people in ways that they hadn't been served for a while. And all of us really had a desire to go back, which I think is always a good thing. And so hopefully we'll be able to have that experience over the next few years as we continue our long-term partnership with Frank. And we're so thankful that we already have the dates for our next team. So we're really excited that we're offering our next student team to Romania from the 12th to the 21st of April in 2023. And so if you are a student or you know any students, we actually have both of our team leaders for this trip on the call. And so it's very exciting to be able to continue the work that we've been part of for years. A lot of the team have already been to Romania at some point or another. And so it's just beautiful to kind of see this partnership developing over the long term as we just love and care for those people well. So this has been a very whistle-stop tour in 5 minutes of what was a bit busy 10 days. And so if you want to know anything else about the upcoming trip to Romania or some of our experience from this year, you can just email us at the email address on the screen, or you can message anyone who you know in the team and we'll be able to tell you a bit more.
Thank you so much. Wow, what just a amazing overview we've had of this last year. Quite astounded by all the different things happening. I don't know about you, but that phrase that Ansi said, being part of the beautiful tapestry, that really struck me, and it felt like it captured what we've seen across this whole year, of different people being involved and woven into what we've been doing and how we've been responding, how we've been able to respond because of everyone who's been involved. So we just want to say thank you so much, and yeah, hopefully you've been able to get the link to work. The team will just stay on the call for a little bit longer. If you did want to chat with us about anything you've heard, then feel free. But otherwise, again, thank you so much for coming, and we hope to be in touch and see you guys soon. Thanks.